Welcome back to Heartbeats Vanity, guys. I wanted to discuss this topic. I was unsure to discuss this topic earlier today. I didn't know if I wanted to dive into it. But if you guys are on Twitter and if you've been keeping up with other content creators who have been covering this, you'll know that the report that came out on the child that was injured on the Onision property was in fact actually Onision and Kai's daughter. The said incident, I'm going to give you guys a trigger warning, is not for the faint of heart. It is actually something that I have cried multiple times reading the incident report and just thinking about today. So if you are sensitive to those things and if you are under the age of 18, I suggest making sure that you are very aware that this is, again, not for the faint of heart. This information in this video is not going to be easy to hear. So I've taken the liberty to paste the incident report for you guys, and you can read it at your own leisure. I'm not going to read it word for word, but I will just sort of give my commentary on the incidents in the report. Basically, what had happened was the 3-year-old child was upstairs, apparently alone, inside of the child's room. And then the child fell out of a second-story window, injuring her head. And nobody saw it. Nobody saw it. The child had to literally crawl on gravel to the garage and bang on the garage door to, in attempts, try to get Greg's, aka Onision, aka Onion Boy, also known as James, tried to get his attention. The child... The simple fact, this is really hard for me to talk about, my gosh. The simple fact that that child knew to do that and knew that nobody was coming for her is just so heartbreaking. That's truly when I had my first breakdown cry session over this. At some point, as you see, Greg does take notice to the situation, but instead of having that panic parent moment, right? Instead of, you try to put yourself into this situation. There's a big accident that happens. And if you're a parent out there, I'm sure, just like you and me, myself, I would panic. I would flip out. I would immediately call 911. I would do everything, try to do everything in my knowledge to make sure that I was trying to keep this child safe, my beloved child. And this is just a reaction base. This isn't like what I do as a personal parent to make sure that the house is safe and that the house, the upstairs windows in my house are locked down and we do everything we can. But regardless, in the moment, I try to put myself in that moment. And the fact that Greg immediately decides to film, he doesn't have that moment, it seems, or it's reported, that he has that okay, I need to call 911, I need to freak out, I need to do this, I need to make sure my child's head is being balanced, the neck's okay, what is going on? Just that moment. I don't even know how to describe it, but he decides that it's now an appropriate time to get a camera out. Think of the time and the process of thought that it has to take to grab your camera, okay? And to even assess the situation for long enough to think about that before your child's safety. To me, that was another thing that just had me breaking down in tears, because it's so hard to wrap my head around the thought of not immediately just going into parent, save it, fix it, help mode. You know what I mean? It's just so hard to not want to jump and do everything that you could. Instead, he, shows an example of how I don't even understand how to just describe this, but how selfish he is. He was thinking about himself. He was thinking about how he could prove that he had nothing to do with this. He didn't, obviously, yes, he did. He absolutely did. That there was a child alone upstairs, but he wanted to prove somehow, in some way, shape, or form, in that moment in time, instead of helping his young child. So the child eventually goes to the hospital. Okay. Greg was more concerned about making sure that his Patreons at the time, before his Patreon got removed and he got banned off of Patreon, that they knew that they weren't going to be doing a stream that night or something like that. Instead of focusing on obviously the tests and your child's safety. He was more focused on his subscribers and his little live streams. To me, I want to point out that would be the last thing on my mind. I wouldn't care. I'm no offense to anybody who subscribes to me, which I'm sure if you're a parent and just a general human being with, an actual heart and logic, you understand why that would be not at the forefront of my mind during any type of injury for anybody in my family. The thing is, though, is it's just that goes again to show you the narcissistic, psychopathic personality tendencies that Greg has. Not only while they were at the hospital and their innocent little child was undergoing tests and a very serious medical condition, being that of the fractured skull and brain bleed that was occurring, Greg found Twitter to be more interesting at the time. I'm sure you guys have seen in other commentary videos or awareness videos some of the content that Greg posts on Twitter. I've linked a few pictures and they will come up right after this report. So as a mother myself, I cannot imagine the pain that this child was going through, nor understand how this all happened in the way that it did. Like, your child falling off of a couch is one thing versus falling out of a window that should have been secured and locked. One, there should have been a camera, like, in the room if Kai, like in the report said, needed to cook dinner really quick and there's a TV in that room. Hopefully the cords were taken care of and everything was safe, but I doubt it, considering that the window, one of the major things that you look at, wasn't even secured or checked on. Me personally, as a parent, and this is just me, I almost have anxiety when it comes to checking to make sure that doors are locked, making sure that windows are secure. In fact, with our children, we go out of our way to make sure that the windows have, there's distractions, I guess, that kind of pull attention away from the window itself. And not only that, the window is very secure. We go above and beyond to create safety measures with that 2-story window. But to think that this little, this child's under 5 years old, this child's under 4 years old, this child was 3, and this child was put alone in a room with no camera, nobody checking, long enough for this child to have to understand at 3 years old to crawl to the garage because nobody saw it. That to me is so heartbreaking, so heartbreaking. And above all that Onision has done, right, with the allegations going around and the evidence and the proof against him proving a lot of things regarding some of the allegations. And I say allegations because I literally legally have to. I believe he's guilty with a lot of things. But child neglect, I think, is one of the most disgusting things that if you are a parent, that you could ever do. Like, you have to have zero empathy and soul, I would presume at that point, to be able to sit there and not immediately grab your child, burst into tears, try your best to react and get that child to help and safety as quick as possible. That to me, I can't understand it. I literally cannot wrap my head around how he reacted because I could never do that. And that's a good thing. But the thing is, though, is we're presented with these facts about the situation. We're presented with thinking that he was incapable of understanding that is his baby girl, that is his child, that is his flesh and blood. And if that couldn't even faze him, what will faze him? What could ever faze him? The simple fact that it didn't faze him is just so mind-blowing to me, that he was tweeting and he was talking with other women and he was more concerned about his social life than his own child. I think he deserves nothing but to go to prison. And that, I don't say that lightly with a lot of people. I don't. But with him, I 100% believe for child neglect and some of the accusations that he has had to face over these last couple of months, I think he deserves prison time. Now, regarding Kai, my personal preference as a parent is to never leave my child alone. But from time to time, because of the safety measures that I have taken for my own child and the fact that we have baby proofed and toddler proofed and safety proofed her playroom so much, and we have a camera that sends my phone a notification every time there's movement, from time to time, of course, I will let her play in there and I'll maybe do some things upstairs, but I will never go downstairs to cook dinner or focus on something else while my young child is upstairs. Like, I'll fold laundry upstairs while my child is in her room because she has her, her little camera and its notification and all that stuff is hooked up to my phone, and it's hooked up to the Echo Amazon something or other. It's like an Echo something. I don't even know. But there's like multiple different cameras. There's cameras, in my hallway. There's cameras in her room, her playroom, lots of preventative measures so that I can always have eyes on her, no matter if I'm, going and folding laundry, or I'm vacuuming upstairs, or I'm cleaning up the bathroom, something like that. She'll be safe. You know what I mean? I've taken those measures. And Kai is married to Onision. She knows him better than anybody. She's with him on a daily basis and has been for a very long time. She knows that I'm sure he spends more time caring about his social media and his little live streams and his video games and his editing than he does to care to help with the children. That's often been discussed when people are interviewed on the Chris Hansen show, how the children are never really around Onision and hardly around Kai. So I think that this was just neglect on all ends, and I think that Kai is just as guilty, as a mother. When your child cries or you don't hear your child, for me specifically, I will listen. Even when I'm upstairs and there's cameras and notifications, something could happen, the Wi-Fi could disconnect, something like that. And, I'm always listening. And when my child's silent, I'm like, yo, something's up. And I go check, because it's like your child, for more than a minute, if they're silent, they're either getting into something they shouldn't be, they could be hurt, they could be in danger, or it's just like a signal as a parent that you listen to, you pay attention to. The old saying, if you're silent, you're up to something. And your parents always like, my kids are always doing the worst stuff when they're not making any noise. It's so true. So the fact that there was nothing, she didn't hear the window, she didn't hear her daughter maybe laughing along to a movie or something like that. Now, I don't know the structure of their house, I don't understand that, but there's also there's so many cameras outside. That was something that was discussed also with the 911 call. There's so many cameras outside. Why aren't there cameras inside? Especially where it matters the most, in the child's room, hooked up to the wall, like mine. You know what I mean? Like where the cords are, there's like little nails that we put on the very, very top of the wall, and the cord is, the little cord is like hooked up to those nails so that there's no cords or anything like that. Nothing like that. And then the cord is brought outside of the bedroom into the hallway to be plugged in, because we don't have it plugged in 24/7. I just plug it in when I'm doing things like I described earlier. The thing is, though, is it's like there's so many measures here that were missed for this to occur, because this is a nightmare. This is a nightmare for a parent. This is something you wake up in the middle of the night having a bad dream about, and you cry and you go check your children, or you wake them up to give them a hug type of thing. This is like one of those things that you see on the videos before you leave the hospital, like the shaken syndrome video that they play for new parents. I think any parents now is a requirement before you leave the hospital with your child. This is another situation where they play stuff like this. There's classes out there that help people that, maybe don't necessarily know. And then when CPS was involved, I'm so shocked. And I don't think that they are good parents. I didn't think that, regardless, before even knowing this, but now knowing this, I truly feel very scared for those children. And it's not me just trying to hop onto that, I feel scared train. I felt scared for many reasons. One, because of the fact that, what has happened in the past has happened. And a lot of the times in Onision's case, where if he is a survivor of anything, and that's why he attacks other people. Oftentimes he'll even attack his own children in the same way that he was attacked that he claims his father did to him, if you guys know what I'm referencing here. So me, I was scared about that, and I was scared about, him when people were kind of concerned about the videos he was posting when this all first started, about him having a breakdown and, potentially hurting the children. That is something I was also thinking about as well, until he made it very obvious that it was obviously an act to get views. But the thing is it's always in the back of my mind. It's always in the back of my mind, are these kids safe? Are these kids taken care of? Especially when you see more interviewers coming forward and saying the kids, they're never around their parents. They always have somebody else watching them. That's dangerous too, because who's watching them? As a parent, I don't let anybody watch my children that I do not 100% trust, and that's family. The only people I let watch my child is family. That's it. And even then, I'm selective, because I don't want to ever have any chance of anything happening ever. If you read that report, inside of the report is detailed that the law enforcement notates the fact that there are allegations going around, and they added that to this report. To me, I'm thankful that it did get reported, that CPS was involved, but clearly the child was not removed from the home. Clearly they were lenient with it, in my opinion. That's my opinion. I don't know exactly the case-by-case detail, but to me, I'm just they're one time too many. Like I said earlier, it's different to have your child fall off of the couch rather than out of a window. Okay, accidents happen. Yes, your child's gonna fall. It's gonna scrape their knee. They're gonna, get into sticky situations sometimes. But it is your job as a parent to make sure that the house is safe as possible, as safe as can be. And when you have a 2-story house, it's logical to understand that your children are going to be fascinated with the windows, that they're going to be fascinated with certain things, and that, you have to have baby gates going, protecting the stairs, protecting them from walking outside of their room to the stairs, on their little doors or whatever. That's what we do as well. Like I said, we have a 2-story house. We have 2 baby gates, one at the top of the stairs and one at the bottom of the stairs. We have another set of baby gates on the doorway for the room and the playroom, and to be honest, the bathroom. So it's so shocking. It's just so horrible. I feel that is enough commentary and enough opinion. I could go on all day on how to make sure that your house is safe for your toddlers and babies, but I'm sure that's not what a lot of people want to hear forever. And this is a 15-minute video plus 15-minute video already. And if you've stayed this long, thank you so much for being here. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. Did you read the report? How do you feel about it? Are you parents yourselves? What is your opinion on this whole situation? Leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel, guys. And thank you so much again for watching. My heart really goes out to anybody who was emotional during this video, or anybody who, obviously felt the exact same way, because it's a good thing that we feel that way. It's obviously, we're identifying that this is a very unsafe situation for an innocent child. But go ahead and let me know what you think below. Thank you guys so much for being here again. Kiss the stars.